Hey everyone, Chris Clark here from GamecockCentral.com coming at you with a little video offering here this time for our readers, subscribers, and now I guess our viewers of GamecockCentral.com. Appreciate you being on board. If you have not visited GamecockCentral.com today, make sure that you do that in short order on your computer, tablet, mobile device, whatever you may have. Plenty of football and recruiting content. Just posted an insider report just a few minutes ago with the latest on a bunch of 4- and 5-star targets. Yes, the elusive information on Jordan Birch that you're all wondering sort of what is the latest there is included, along with a bunch of other targets. Reggie Grimes, Henry Parrish, the running back out of Florida that South Carolina has been chasing, Laneith Whitehead, the linebacker out of Georgia, Jaquez Robinson, the Alabama commitment from Florida, that South Carolina and Florida are trying to flip from the Crimson Tide. Updates on all those guys. But also, lots of pre-Georgia content, and that's where I want to go next on this video. South Carolina has a big game on Saturday against the Georgia Bulldogs at noon in Athens. Going to be a big test for the Gamecocks. Going to be a test for the Georgia Bulldogs as well. They haven't been supremely tested this season, with the exception of the game against what's probably a pretty good Notre Dame team. They were able to win that one by 6. Other than that, they played Vanderbilt. They played Tennessee. The Tennessee game was close for a while, and they pulled away late. The Vanderbilt game, never really in doubt, ended up winning that one 30-6 after being up 21-6 at halftime. South Carolina, of course, it's been well documented that they've had a more disappointing start to the season with the loss to North Carolina. North Carolina team that appears to be better than certainly I thought going into the season, but nonetheless a disappointing loss. The loss against Missouri was a disappointing one for many reasons for Gamecock fans. Got back on track by breaking the streak against Kentucky, and then you had a game against Alabama in which, certainly that's one of the more talented teams in the country. So one thing that I was thinking about heading into this week is, what is the more challenging game for South Carolina? Is it Alabama? Is it Georgia? Is it Clemson? And I talked to some people before the season who are sort of, familiar with the personnel at all those schools. And the answer that I most commonly got was that Alabama was going to be the biggest challenge for the Gamecocks, simply because Tua Tagovailoa is so dynamic, and that group of wide receivers is so dynamic. Certainly, we saw that play out with what those guys did in space: Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, and Jerry Jeudy, who had 5 catches in that game, but 4 of those, I think, were after the game was already in hand. So Devontae Smith and Henry Ruggs are really the ones that killed South Carolina in the secondary. But, I think you can make an argument about this Georgia team as well. Clemson certainly is probably going to get it figured out offensively at some point. They're extremely dynamic. They lost a lot defensively, but so far they played well on that side of the ball too. But this Georgia team is really, really interesting. Jake Fromm has a ton of experience at quarterback. They've got 2 really good backs in DeAndre Swift and Brian Harrion, who I think has been on the team since 1980. He's been around forever. They did lose a lot at receiver, but they've got some talented guys there. They've got some guys who are coming along. Lawrence Cager, who's a graduate transfer. They've got some players who can play. Charlie Warner at tight end. They've got a huge offensive line. And when you look at Georgia, not many teams have recruited as well as they have on the offensive line when you count just their size, their talent, their ability to move. They're huge up front. They can really run the football, and I'm going to get to that in a minute in terms of what they could do. But this Georgia team's also good on special teams. Not entirely consistent punting, but Rodrigo Blankenship is excellent as a kicker. He's also been around forever, it seems like. And defensively, they just have a lot of depth. They have a lot of speed. They can roll guys in and out. So really impressive on that side of the ball too, and I think that's really a difference. I think Alabama's probably a better offensive team in terms of their explosion in the passing game, but Georgia's ability to run the ball, and also their defense. And Jake Fromm he's so underrated. He gets that game manager rap, but really shouldn't be thought of as a negative. He can make every throw that you need, and he's an impressive guy. So it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a road game for South Carolina. Got to go back on the road, so it's going to be a very, very difficult and challenging game for them. Want to go to the run game. That is a key in this football game, in my opinion. Something we talked about going into the Kentucky game. All right, against Kentucky, South Carolina, we knew had to reverse the trend of losing in the trenches. Right, you look at the past 5 years, but let's go to the past 3 years because that's sort of the Muschamp era. 2016, 17, 18. South Carolina lost that battle in the trenches on both sides of the ball. But more specifically, South Carolina had a negative run differential, meaning Kentucky piled up rushing yards, South Carolina did not. Okay, and they were able to reverse that trend this year. They dominated the line of scrimmage against Kentucky. They harassed the quarterback, Sawyer Smith. They bottled up the run game. They created negative plays in the passing game, negative plays in the run game. And then offensively, they were able to do what they wanted on offense, turned in a good performance on the offensive line. And also, Tavian Feaster, Rico Dowdle both went over 100 yards, had really good performances. So sort of a coming out party for them. And South Carolina, despite not being great on offense, 3 straight 3-and-outs in the third quarter, did a really nice job running the football in that game. So that takes me to the Georgia game because it's a similar theme when you go back and look at these games. Georgia has been outstanding the last 3 meetings running the football. South Carolina has not. South Carolina's highest run yards total in terms of team. Now, this does count sack yards, okay? But so does Georgia's totals that I'm going to mention. South Carolina has rushed the highest total, 54 yards, the past 3 years. That's their highest total. On the other hand, Georgia's highest total, 326 yards. And both other times they've been high 200s. They've been way up there. The lowest run differential between these two teams, meaning you subtract what South Carolina had from Georgia's total, the lowest run differential between these two teams in the last 3 years is 199 yards. So obviously, if you want to look at statistics, you want to look at keys to the game, areas that have to turn around, that's the biggest one for South Carolina. They've got to create maybe not necessarily a positive run differential, but certainly to have a chance at winning this game, to make it a competitive game, fourth quarter contest with a chance to win, they're going to have to do a lot better in narrowing that gap of the run differential. Then you look at some other things. I think explosive plays are going to be significant in this contest. Limiting what Georgia can do, even if you play Georgia well on first and second down, Jake Fromm throws the back shoulder throws so well. They got some big receivers who can make those plays. You got to go out there and you got to finish on third downs and prevent Georgia from making explosive plays because a guy like DeAndre Swift, Brian Harrion, if they get in space, they can really hurt you. On the other hand, South Carolina, I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain drives over and over against this Georgia defense. They're going to have to create some explosive plays to move the chains, to flip field position, and maybe even to go score. Get a couple long scoring plays, get some explosive plays in the run game. That's what you need, and that's the formula to score an upset. Other thing, of course, and this is one we talk about a lot, turnover margin. You can't go on the road, turn the ball over, and expect to win. We saw that in the Missouri game. Not only did South Carolina have some crucial turnovers, but they also had 2 turnovers that resulted directly in Missouri points. So you had 1 touchdown early in the game, a defensive touchdown. Then you had one that was even a 14-point swing with a pick 6 when you're driving in to go a 10 to 14-point swing because you got at minimum a field goal and at best a touchdown, and that turns into 7 points for the other team. So in South Carolina's 3 losses this season, which is combined, of course, North Carolina, Alabama, Missouri, they're -4 in turnover differential. So that's an area that they also have to improve in this game. So ought to be an interesting contest. We're going to have plenty of content leading up to the Georgia game. If you go to GamecockCentral.com right now, we've got Wes Mitchell's Carolina Confidential where he looks at some film of Georgia, breaks them down. Probably tomorrow we're going to have some stuff with Bryson Allen Williams previewing the Georgia game. If we're not able to connect with Bryson this week, we're definitely going to connect with him after the game. He's been doing some analysis for us, both with some video clips or some written stuff, and has been doing a fantastic job with that. A guy who's played in this defense, has played against some of these teams, some of these players that South Carolina will see, that fans will see throughout the year, and he's able to lend some really unique insight that you're only going to get on GamecockCentral.com. 5 questions feature right now with Anthony Dasher of UGAsports.com is up on our front page. basketball, baseball, women's basketball content. It's all up there too, plus recruiting stuff. So the Insiders Forum is a place where you can ask myself a question, Wes Mitchell a question, interact with our staff, interact with a bunch of other Gamecock fans all day, every day, all night, every night. We love interacting with our subscribers and everyone who reads GamecockCentral.com. So if you're not a subscriber, highly recommend it. We have, through Bryson Allen Williams, because of him, actually a special deal right now. If you go to join.GamecockCentral.com, BAW4, enter that in the promo code box, BAW4 at join.GamecockCentral.com. That'll get you 50% off your first year. So it's only $50, $49.95. It's already, the full price is 27 cents a day. So it's a quarter a day. You can't even get, a quarter cup of coffee at Starbucks for that. And some of you have Starbucks every day. I've seen you there. So join us at GamecockCentral.com. If you like our work, if you half like this video, come support our work, but also get access to all our content, all the Gamecock stuff you could dream of on GamecockCentral.com. And our work this year, our football content, is sponsored by Terry Bishop Real Estate Group. If that name rings a bell, it's because he's a former Gamecock quarterback, also has 36 years of experience in the real estate business. He's your man. If you need to buy, sell, invest in real estate, call Terry Bishop, 665-1442, 803-665-1442, or on Facebook, facebook.com/the Terry Bishop Team. So that's going to do it for this quick video. Just wanted to make a quick video sort of breaking down some initial thoughts or some late week thoughts, actually, on the Georgia game. Plenty more from our team at GamecockCentral.com up on the site. Until next time, I'm Chris Clark, and we'll see you later.